On Friday night, sometime after 11, Sherris Stringham's body was found here under this bridge between miles 17 and 18 in Valley Community along the Stann Creek Valley Road, many miles away from where she lived in Hopkins Village. Stringham went missing last Saturday, and that's the last time her friends heard from her. She was missing for almost a week until her body was discovered. It is alleged that 3 teens from Hopkins Village killed Stringham and dumped her here. But when cops caught up with them, they reportedly took the police to the spot. Laureen Holcomb is one of the friends who spent time with Sherris the day before she went missing. She was last seen riding her moped in the village.
Friday. She was here playing cards with us girls. And the other girls had left. She was the last one to leave because we were talking about her house design and things, and her going back to the States to get her container ready to come. And I was, just typical, friend warning her, you be careful, do you need anything for the trip, that kind of stuff.
And so when Sherris never showed up to join her friends for a scheduled outing last Sunday, they became worried. They couldn't get her on the phone, so they showed up at her house, an apartment she had been renting on the north end of the village. But when they arrived there, they realized something was wrong. The house was ransacked, her empty wallet was lying on the counter, and neither Sherris nor her vehicle was anywhere to be found.
At first, I thought that maybe it was something. Maybe something happened to her son or daughter in the States, and she just had to go really fast, It was my hope, something happened to a loved one somewhere. And then after a while, I knew that, with all the other things coming forth, that something bad had happened.
But last week, police found Sherris's vehicle, this SUV, near the bypass in Orange Walk, a long way from her Hopkins home. The vehicle's license plate and insurance sticker were taken off. But there was still no sign of Sherris. Friends searched for her all across Hopkins, but they never found her. It is perhaps the last place her family and friends imagined she would disappear from. She had been in Hopkins for a little over a year and a half, moving back and forth between her Missouri home in the U.S. She fell in love with the sleepy little fishing village and decided she would relocate here after she retired from her bus driving job in the States. And when she did, not only did she fall in love with Hopkins, but Hopkins also fell in love with her sunny disposition and sweet spirit.
Always happy, bubbly. Like my wife had mentioned, that she had gone through a stressful period here, trying to get her house just the way she wanted it, and windows here and walls there and so forth. So that's kind of when I got to know her good a few weeks ago, of working on her prints and measuring things out and doing a few redesigns but she'd come here and play cards with the women, and just a very pleasant lady. I mean, you always see her, at the store or on her scooter riding around town, or just smiling, happy, adventurous. She's a 67-year-old woman, and she'd get on her scooter and she'd head off 25 minutes down the highway to Dangrega, or ride it all the way into Placencia, which is an hour by car. And she loved to hike, liked the outdoors. Beautiful person.
And it was perhaps Sherris's trusting nature that made her a target in Hopkins. Her friends say that she was very friendly and trusted everyone she knew. News 5 understands that the killers went to burglarize Sherris's house Saturday, but she was inside. It is alleged that after the suspects took what they wanted, they killed her because she knew who they were. They then dumped her body and abandoned the vehicle in the north.
You can't find fault in her except maybe being too naive and unassuming, and maybe too friendly at times, where she should back off a little. And she's been warned, by locals and so forth, that, you just can't trust everybody. But she was just that type of person, that she didn't see fault in people.
No.
She just saw good. And sometimes that can be damaging.
Sherris was very trusting. When I was with Sherris in the car heading to someplace with her, often she would stop and say, "I'll just be a minute." And she'd jump out of the car and be hugging somebody. Black, brown, white, poor, rich. That was Sherris. You know, just knew everybody, loved everybody.
Police have arrested and charged 3 teens of Hopkins Village for Sherris Stringham's murder. They are 18-year-old Anthony Nunes, 18-year-old Wilhelm Clayton Nunes, and a 16-year-old boy. It's a tragedy that's too difficult for her friends to even process.
There's no reason to have any reason to think that she was wealthy or they'd get that much, or, I mean, I think it's just flat out evil. I don't know what else to say about it. Everybody's so fond of her. So many locals are so deeply touched by this loss. I just don't see a reason why anybody would want to do her any harm whatsoever.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.